Yes. Let's see. Morning, everybody. Here we go.
Presenting Benny
All right, there we go.
Music.
Hey, Gene. Hey, Denise. Hey, Kristen and Chris. Sleeping Julius. Hey, Kathy. Morning, Kristen. Hey, everybody. Hey, Martin and Dina. Hey, Todd. Working from home today because I got to hit the microfilm room later. I didn't want to be out from... I don't want to have to kill an hour and a half until it opens. Hey, Robert. Hey, Kathleen. Hey, Nancy. Hey, Geraldine.
Benny Goodman, ladies and gentlemen, the man with the torrid clarinet and the even more torrid band who pervades assorted rhythms, all danceable, in the urban room of the Congress Hotel in Chicago. And first of all, one of Irving Berlin's greatest hits, Blue Skies.
Welcome along, everybody. Ooh, the new OBS has a little... The new app has a little thing when I'm broadcasting. That's nice. Hey, Kathy. Hey, Cindy. Hey, Javier over on YouTube. Hey, Jeanette. Hey, Cindy. Hey, Tato. Hey, Patty. Susan, Kristen, Cindy, Laura. Yeah, Miles is lurking around. Of course. Hey, Vicky. Hey, Betsy. Come on, Miles. Hop up. Come on. It's okay. Oh, you're all wet. I just took down the air conditioner and it dripped all over the place. I see that you've gotten into that. Miles just might make an appearance on the October 29th afternoon tour. We'll see. Grayson's having some construction, which might complicate things slightly. Hey, Becky. Hey, Betsy. Hey, Gary and Beth. Good morning, Dina. Hey, Aaron. Got a microfilm run today. Because in 1870, Wilbur F. Story, the guy I hate so much from the Chicago Times, published some articles slamming a burlesque dance troupe starring Lydia Thompson, who then horsewhipped Wilbur F. Story in the street. But nobody seems to have republished what exactly he said about them, so I'm going to go find out. Can't be any worse than what he said about the Emancipation Proclamation. Mona, I don't think I can do it as a virtual tour this year. Might run afoul of the zoo a bit. Hey, Ava. Good morning, everybody. Give it a couple minutes for everybody to log on. This work from home edition. Miles. Hey, Marcia. Hey, Ava. I love it when bad things happen to Wilbur F. Story. Like, finding out that he had been horsewhipped in the street must have seemed as gratifying to all Chicagoans of goodwill as, like, the Alex Jones verdict fell yesterday. Did I manage to get pie yesterday? I did. I stuck around and had some pumpkin. Check the back of my hair. Yeah, I probably should. Oh, yeah, it's kind of a mess. Yep. Hair's not dried yet, that's it. All right, Bob. Hey, Wendy. Give it just another moment, get everybody online here. I have just posted on Eventbrite some of the details for this Halloween's, this October 27th, a brand new Halloween special for the Time Travel Pub Crawl. Last year I just kind of reran the first one. This one year I got a good idea. I'm going to do a whole new version of the Time Travel Pub Crawl. Where is Priya? Good question. She's probably with Ronnie right now. I had some pumpkin yesterday, Nancy. I was torn between the pie and the cheesecake, but I went with the pie. I am a pie man through and through. All right, we'll let Benny wrap this up.
Benny Goodman presents Helen Ward singing With All My Heart.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So what we're going to do today, this is one of these things now and then when I've been working on TikTok quite a bit. Some days instead of going out to find something to talk about when I'll have more time to kill anyway, I'll just show you some of the TikToks that I've been putting out the last week or so, some of which you've seen in progress as we go, like last week's awesome Find a Grave Friday. That was one of my favorite Find a Graves yet. And of course, Find a Grave Friday is back tomorrow. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Here is a TikTok from earlier this week. This is one of my favorite pictures in the Chicago Tribune archives. These guys are exhuming the grave of Rose Wachowski, who was a suspected victim of Tilly Klimek, a poisoner from the early 20s. Tilly was sentenced to life in prison for killing one of her husbands with arsenic, but was suspected of killing several others, as well as some friends, neighbors, and relatives. Now, as the stories about her came out, they exhumed quite a number of bodies, but only got this one picture, which I always kind of thought was posed. These guys looking like Cruella de Vil henchmen, with a guy pointing like they don't know where to dig. But I was able to locate the grave today at St. Adalbert Cemetery, with help from a lot of my live stream viewers. Now, the cross that used to be on top of it is leaning against the angel statue in the background there. Nearly everything about Tilly online is inaccurate. They're always saying that she was a psychic killer, which is confusing her with someone else. But there was no poison found in Rose, so she's off the hook for that one anyway. That was so fun, actually, finding that grave. I've been looking at that picture for so long. I don't know why I never thought to find that one before. I think when I tried to look it up, I hadn't been able to find much, partly because of all of the different spellings. But another Find a Grave coming up tomorrow. Here's another. This is Philip Armour, the Armour hot dogs guy, but it's one of those cases where the most interesting person is someone else in the plot. Over here is his granddaughter by marriage, Alexandra, known as Aleki, properly known as Princess Alexandra of Russia. Now, before the revolution, she was a Russian princess. After the revolution, she ended up working at Marshall Field, and then marrying into the Armour family. She was also a cousin of a guy thought to be the namesake of beef stroganoff, so meat is kind of a recurring theme in her life. When she died in 2006, at the age of 101, her granddaughter said all she really wanted out of life was a hardback book and a glass of orange juice every day. When asked about her father, she would just say, oh, he worked for the government. And some commenter thought, oh, that's just her trying to cover up what she really knew, that when she said he just worked for the government. It's like, yeah, he worked for a now deposed government a long time ago. I really don't think she was sitting on any Russian state secrets by the time she was old. That would have been into the 21st century. All right, here's one I've been talking about doing for a long time. This is the one that has gotten the most action. It's got about 30,000 views. Often on my cemetery tours, people will ask what these magnificent mausoleums look like on the inside. I wish I could show you. Well, for one thing, the keys to get into these things sometimes look like something out of Scooby-Doo. Then on the inside, most of the time, there's not that much to see. I'm not going to be specific about which mausoleums or which cemeteries these are, but this is a gangster's grave from Chicago, which oddly says on the slab that he died in 1919. He died in 1920. Recently, someone threw some bullets into there. More often, what you'll see is just a few slabs plus a stained glass window, like here. Or here, you just see a whole bunch of slabs with names. They would be like pull-out drawers. Modern caskets would not fit into this. Sometimes it's all brick on the inside, brick and a whole lot of rubble. But now and then you'll also find like a sarcophagus with cherubs at the corners, like this one. Well, here's a wider view of this one. This one is kind of falling apart, which is very common. Now and then you'll also see like lions with big floppy toes. I don't know what's up with that. You can see Miles has staked his claim up on top of the shelf here. He is just purring and purring today. Before we move on further, I just want to show off. Check out what Octavio had made. These are patches for Mystericon. Check these out. They weren't ready quite in time for the con, but I tell you what, I'm going to have them with me on the tours the next couple of weekends while supplies last. If you are at the con and you come on one of the tours in the next couple of weekends, just ask me for one. I will have them in my car. Now, I just did a couple of them on the Murder Castle basement. Down the block from the Disco Salad Bar. Across the street from the Aldi. At 63rd and Wallace in Chicago stands the Englewood Post Office, here since 1940, when it replaced the building that was once known as the H.H. Holmes Murder Castle. Now, I've had a couple of requests to do this. I've researched this place extensively. I talk about it on my Patreon. I've got a book out. I give talks about it all the time. So this is the Holmes Castle, which overlapped just a bit with the post office. Lining up the fire insurance maps isn't an exact science, but you see just a bit there. So most of the castle building would have been right here, right where my book is in this absolutely shameless plug. It wasn't that great of a building. They tore it down years ago, but I have gotten to go into the basement of the post office a couple of times. Here's me looking real cool down there a few years back. So I got some footage to share. It wasn't really intended to be shared, so it's going to be a little bit shaky, but this is back behind the lobby of the post office. They got the staging area, but at the back of it are these doors, not an exit. They lead to some stairs down into the basement. And so here's some footage of what is down there. It's mostly just about what you'd expect in any other basement, and here we're well outside of the footprint of where the castle would have been anyway. And it was went right up against some other buildings, so it wouldn't have extended beyond its own footprint much, no matter what you hear about tunnels under there. But there is this place where if you crawl up to this hole in the wall, you'll find yourself into a creepy old brick tunnel. Employees at the time told me that they only smelled stuff there on the rare occasion they went in. On camera, they made it a little more dramatic. But you go to this hall, and the bricks there do look about right for being old Chicago bricks, but they could be 30s bricks just as easily. And at the end is a tunnel. This is the one bit of overlap with the castle building. There's nothing original down there, and the vast majority of stories about the castle are absolute nonsense to start with. You take a left down here, though, you'll find yourself in this basement space under the lobby, which is outside of the footprint of the castle building, but does look a lot like the basement down there did look at the time, according to all the newspaper drawings. And you kind of get an idea of how the stories about it spread. You walk around down here, you start thinking everything looks like a murder weapon, like this is the mop wringer of torture. So a lot of the stories about it are fiction. I swear I'm not trying to burst anybody's bubble when I say that. All I can really do is say, hey, on Thursday night, I'll be on Effing Chicago, October 13th, the Effing Chicago Facebook page, giving a talk about Holmes. And also, I can always do the shameless read my book plug. All right. Now, there's no spooky audio on that particular TikTok. That's a whole other TikTok. I've been hesitant even to put this on TikTok, but there is this really spooky audio recording that I got in the basement of the Englewood post office, right in the small portion that overlaps where the Holmes Castle would be. I was down there with the History Channel. They were packing up, so I ended up alone in this hallway. And I think most of the stories about that building are way exaggerated, the result of a really ineffective police investigation, as detailed in my book, for which here is a shameless plug. But while I was down there, I realized I was the envy of every ghost hunter in town at the time. So I had my Zoom H2 running, 4 mics running at once, all recording to WAV files, and for lack of a better idea, I started whispering the names of the people I think were most likely to have been killed in the place. There's really only a few. Emmeline Segrand, who disappeared in 1892, Julia Connor, 1891, and most particularly her 6-year-old daughter, Pearl. Now, I didn't hear anything while I was down there. But when I play the recording back, I got this little thing like a little girl singing. I'll play it right here. You don't need headphones, no closed captioning. Just give it a listen. Spooky, huh? Now it sounds to me like the voice is saying, sorry beefalo, which is something you never want to get at the school cafeteria. Now, the most logical explanation here would be to say that I faked it, which would have been very easy for me to do. I can only really tell you that's not my style, but really you just have to take my word for it. Partly because of that, I don't try to make any grand claims about this. This isn't proof of the paranormal, proof of the afterlife. When people tell me it means that I have to go burn various herbs, I just kind of feel like, dude, you're an adult. In any case, though, I always say there's no such thing as good ghost evidence, only cool ghost evidence. And this is pretty cool. I'll be giving a talk about Holmes tomorrow night, Thursday, on the Effing Chicago Facebook page. Come check it out. Link in bio. All right, and one more for today, one that I just posted this morning. This is the story that I've been talking about so much lately. It was the subject of a Find a Grave a couple of weeks ago. This is the story of Frances Carrick, a trans woman who was accused of murder in Chicago in 1923. That year, a man named Richard Tesmer was shot in an alley. His widow only saw the woman who shot him in the pistol flash, but swore she could identify her by her eyes and her smile. She'd identified several by the time a tipster led the police to Frances Carrick, and they questioned her for so long they noticed she was growing whiskers. It turned out that she was what we would probably today call a transgender woman. That term was decades away, but it's probably what she'd use today. When they noticed the whiskers, Frances called out for a razor and a shot of gin. Now, the cops were elated. They immediately told everybody, this is a man who dresses up like a woman to commit crimes. But neighbors said that she lived as a woman full-time and was even married to a guy named Frank. The cops didn't care. They were under pressure to hang the smiling woman and figured, well, here's a woman we can actually get convicted. The fact that she was innocent didn't really matter to them much. The press loved Frances. She gave great quotes, hinted that some of her clients included prominent rich men who'd just die if they heard she was a man. She sang soprano songs like He's Your Man But He Comes to See Me Sometimes around the jail. Now, remarkably, multiple psychiatrists the newspaper brought in made it clear that even though this was a male frame, Frances should be considered a woman. And by the time she was on trial, most people agreed. Even the judge called her lady and ruled that her marriage to Frank Herrick was valid, a very early example of what would have been a same-sex marriage at the time being legally recognized. To the cops' chagrin and the public's delight, Frances was acquitted. The evidence against her had been really shaky. So she went home, but after that, we don't really know what happened to her. One theory is that she died in Cleveland in the 1950s, but it's one of those mysteries we'll probably just never solve. All right, so there you have it, TikTok Theater, everybody. And once again, I am heading off to the microfilm room in a bit to get some more firsthand stuff on the time that Lydia Thompson, the burlesque dancer and leader of a troupe called the Blondes, horsewhipped Wilbur F. Story in the street. I love it when bad things happen to Wilbur F. Story. It's almost as much fun as when bad things happen to Alex Jones. So, all right, everybody, thanks a lot for joining me. Once again, tonight, we will be talking H.H. Holmes over on the Effing Chicago Facebook page. Normally, we are talking about our Thursday night tours come up on here on Mysterious Chicago. They'll still be on the same Twitch and YouTube channels. But also, we're going to be talking about it on Effing Chicago tonight. We will be back here next week and the week after that. First of all, next week, that should say the 20th, 20th and 27th, October 20th, we'll be talking about Johann Hawk, who I'm also going to be looking up some of in the microfilm room today. And then October 27th, all new time travel pub crawl Halloween special. Some upcoming stuff. There's just a few tickets left for Rose Hill on Saturday morning, and quite a few left for a 2 p.m. tour on October 16th, this Sunday at Graceland. So, could be a bunch of interesting people in the comments tonight. Effing is part of a collective that Mandy and I are both in. So it's going to be me talking about it. It'll just be over on the page, and it could be some very different and interesting people. We might need some help with moderation over there. You never know. The trick we have with Effing Chicago is not attracting the kind of people who want every Chicago thing to just be talking about how the cops are great and everybody else is a criminal here. People love that kind of crap. Police scanner blogs. Every time I say something nasty about police scanner blogs, I get comments from just the most horrible people. So, all right, thanks a lot for joining me, everybody. I'm Adam for Mysterious Chicago Tours, off to the microfilm room of the day. See you tonight over on Effing Chicago, or check it out over on YouTube or Twitch if you don't want to see their comments. And we'll be back tomorrow as well with Find a Grave Friday and tours all weekend. Lots of stuff coming up around here. There's always a lot going on over at Mysterious Chicago. And once again, if you were at the con and come to a tour over the next couple of weeks, while supplies last, available for a limited time, a Mystericon patch, compliments of Octavio. So thanks a lot for joining me, everybody. Stay asleep, Julius, and have a great day, everybody.